Hello, and welcome back to Spittin Sports with Lamar. I am Casey Lamar, and I'm coming at you from the 256. Today is college football picks, and we will be joined by David Mize once again. So let's just go ahead and get right to those picks. All right, we are back with David here for college football pick'em this week. He went 10-1 last week. I went 7-4. That put David at 28-16 overall in the season. That put me at 26-18. So you're 28-16. I'm 26-18. You finally passed me.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, that 10-1 record last week. The only game you lost was South Carolina. Yeah, you took the Gamecocks over the Wildcats. But so as you and I already kind of talked about, you got a busy day going on there at the museum so far.
Yeah, it's one of those days that it shouldn't be busy, but it is.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Away game Friday, and then somebody finds a way to make it more busy than it needs to be.
Exactly.
But anyway, so week 6 games. We only have 8 games this week. Not a whole lot of big games this weekend. I tried to pick the ones, or try to figure out the ones that are relatively close when it comes to game line and possibly on the field. So the first game, probably the biggest game all weekend, you got the Red River Showdown, Red River Rivalry, whatever you want to say. Number 19, Texas versus number 7, Oklahoma, 11 a.m. on Fox. Oklahoma is a 7-point favorite.
What does it say about the society we live in now that this game is an 11 o'clock a.m. game, and it's 2 top 20 teams? I mean, that's crazy. But regardless of that, Texas really hasn't really showed me a whole lot, and I like the way Oklahoma's playing right now, so I'm going to go with the Sooners.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you with Oklahoma. Kyler Murray is going to end up being too much for Texas in that football game for me. 7, I think that's a little small. That really surprised me the way Oklahoma's been playing. But I do like Oklahoma as well, just like you. And then as far as 11 a.m. kickoff, I think that's been the traditional thing they've done every year because of the whole the fair and like everything going on that goes around with the game. So they've kept it at the early start time, which I would like a later start time just like you, but 11 a.m. for that game. Game number 2, you got Maryland at number 15, Michigan. Maryland's 4-1. That one lost to Temple. 11 a.m. on ABC.
This is to me, Michigan. They're just playing so sporadically, but I'm still going to go with the Wolverines on this one. Maryland hadn't shown me anything. I just don't think Maryland's very good this year, so I'm going to go with Michigan. Though I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little bit closer than the 17 point spread.
Maryland they jumped out on Texas, beat them to start the year, and then did what they did last year. Lost a game they shouldn't have lost to Temple. Not only lost, they got ran off the field by Temple. But Michigan, that week 1 loss don't look so bad anymore for Michigan. And last weekend they looked bad, and then they stepped up at literally within the last minute and won the football game. I think Michigan wins as well. I'm not saying by 17 and a half. I'm going to say it's by probably 10 or less. But I'll take the Wolverines, just like you, for that game tomorrow. The next one, you got 4-1 Boston College at number 23 North Carolina State, NC State. 11:30 a.m. kickoff on the ACC network. NC State is a 5.5-point favorite.
Close game. I think it's going to be a good game. But it's one of those games where I think you just take the home field.
The home field and the favorite, yeah.
Yeah. So I would I'm going to go with NC State on that one.
Yeah, I like the Wolfpack. I think the Wolfpack's underrated. We really would have got to see what the Wolfpack was made of if they would have got that game against West Virginia, but the Hurricane canceled that one, unfortunately. I like North Carolina State. Obviously, home field advantage, but I like North Carolina State just because I think they're just a better football team than Boston College is. They probably have one of the top quarterbacks, especially for the NFL draft in Finley. So I'm going Wolfpack just like you. Game number 4, big game for the SEC this weekend. The only ranked matchup I saw for the SEC this weekend. You got number 5 LSU at they're traveling to Gainesville to take on the number 22 Florida Gators. 2:30 kickoff on CBS. LSU is a 2.5-point favorite.
Oh boy! Now these, those other games, who cares? But now this is a game, and it's going to be an exciting one. Um, is the coach O? Has he got his team on, going, or is it just been kind of a farce up to this point? Florida, they came in, they beat Mississippi State last week. Now, can they keep that going? Has Mullen, has he got his train going? And it's at the Swamp. So, wow, going to be a great game. But I'm going to say I think LSU pulls it out at the end.
Yeah, you pretty much said everything I was thinking about that game already, so I can pretty much just give my pick. At the end of the day, I think LSU, they're just a better team, the better roster overall. Mullen, I think he still needs to, he's got the wheels turning now, obviously, but I think as far as a talent standpoint, I don't think they can beat LSU. I do like it to be a close game because it is at Florida. But LSU, they have a quarterback competent quarterback now that looks like he can make the plays that they need to win a football game, big football games. And their defense, it's LSU defense as always. But I like LSU to eke one out, 2.5. I like them probably by 3, somewhere around there. We saw them win by 1 at Auburn. But I like LSU by a field goal, and it'll probably be a late field goal to win that football game on Saturday. The 5th game I got here, Florida State at number 17 Miami, 2:30 on ABC. Miami's a 13.5-point favorite, and I was going to go ahead and say this used to be one of the biggest rivalries in football, one of the best games to watch in football up until about the early to mid 2000s when Miami really fell off. And the roles are reversed now. Miami's the ranked team, supposed to be the better team. Florida State dominated, for that stretch of the last 10 years almost. But Florida State, they haven't looked all that great this year, but they're 3-2 now. They have a winning record. But like I said, Miami, they're a 13.5-point favorite at home.
I'm gonna go with Miami, and I'm gonna say I don't know that the point spread is enough. This could be an ugly loss for Florida State.
Yeah, Miami is questionable right now too because they're having quarterback problems. But I just think the way Florida State has looked at some of the games is that even Florida State on the field that they go pick up the high school team down around the corner. It's been bad. Miami,
their defense, Florida State's defense, has just not looked well at all. So with Miami, even with quarterback issues, I'm just not sure that that's going to be that big an issue.
Florida State, they couldn't even block a Pee Wee team right now with the offensive line. So, but yeah, I like Miami. The 13.5 I think is about right because I think both teams are kind of lost somewhere right now. Miami, their only loss still is LSU, but I think they're both just kind of out there in their own little worlds right now, struggling. But I like Miami to win that game as well right now. And then the next one, Game 6 on the list here, number 13 Kentucky travels to College Station to take on Texas A&M, 6 o'clock on ESPN. And Texas A&M is the 6-point favorite in this football game.
I haven't been very nice to Kentucky, and I may end up being like their Lee Corso. They may not want me to do this, but I think for the first time I'm going to, in a very close game, I'm going to pick the Wildcats.
I don't know what it just seems like they've got the wheels turning, and they do what they have to do to win a football game to this point. Last week, they dominated South Carolina. The week before, they dominated Mississippi State. I still think they need a pass game, but I'm with you. I think they find a way to win the football game, even though it's at A&M. And I think, that's pretty. You're number 13 in the country, and you're traveling on the road, and you're the underdog to an unranked team. They're number 13 in the country playing unranked A&M, and they're a 6-point underdog. But I really like what Benny Snell's doing. They really got to get the passing game going if they want to compete with Georgia. I would say they are probably the second best team in the East. Well, they are, but we'll see how good they really are, I guess, that November matchup with Georgia. But they got to get a passing game started if they want to be a national contender. I really like what they're doing with the run game. Their defense is legit. But I'm going Wildcats as well. I've picked the Wildcats. a few times now, and you've been against them. So, but I'm going with the Kentucky Wildcats in that game as well tomorrow night. The next game, number 8 Auburn at unranked now Mississippi State. 6:30 p.m. kickoff, ESPN2. Auburn is only a 4-point favorite on the road in Starkville.
Well, give me just a second, if you would. First of all, since the neutral game at the first of the year, this is Auburn's first road game of the season.
Mm-hmm.
They played 4 home games in a row. Unheard of.
Yep.
And this isn't the first year they've done it. I don't understand how they have schedules like this. They have 1, 2, 3, 4 games on the road besides the neutral game that they play. Okay, so this is 1 of 4. Therefore, I'm going with the Bulldogs because Auburn hasn't looked very good at home. They've gotten beat at home.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just don't know, in an environment, first time this year on the road, I'm just not expecting them to look very good. I think some of the issues they're starting to have are starting to really become obvious, especially in their offensive game. And Mississippi State, they got beat last week, and they got that taste in their mouth. And I just think that the Bulldogs may come out victorious this time.
Yeah, both of these teams right now, as far as an offensive standpoint, don't look like they could hit water if they fell out of a boat. Neither offense is doing anything. I think it's going to be another 14-10, another score like Mississippi State had last week with Auburn. It'll be all about the defenses. Neither one can do much, but I still think Auburn finds a way to just squeak one out against Mississippi State, and Mississippi State loses their 3rd straight and their 2nd straight on their home field. I just feel like Auburn, with all the struggles they've been having, especially with the offense against Arkansas, against Southern Miss, I just feel like Mississippi State's offensive woes are even worse. It just seems like. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take the Auburn Tigers in that game.
Let me go ahead and say this too: the loser of this game, their season is done. Mm-hmm. You will see you'll start seeing losses that you wouldn't even expect. The wheels will fall off of this season. The loser of this game.
Yeah, Auburn, they've got the one loss to LSU, which was by a game-winning field goal in state. They got stomped out of Commonwealth Stadium, or if it's even called that anymore, Kentucky, and then got beat on their home field last week. And then Auburn, like I said, it feels like the wheels will start rolling downhill real fast on whoever loses this game. Seems like that wheel's already started rolling for Mississippi State, but Auburn, it could be the tipping point for them if they lose that game. But the final game on the list here, Notre Dame's back on the list this week. You got number 6 Notre Dame traveling to Blacksburg to take on number 24 Virginia Tech, 7 p.m. on ABC. Notre Dame is a 7-point favorite.
Let the upset special shine its light on me. I tell you, I just really like the Hokies in this particular situation. At night, their place, they'll have the Thunderstruck going.
You mean Enter Sandman?
Yes, that's right. It's Enter Sandman now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they did do Thunderstruck one year, but anyway. But yeah, they'll have that going, and man, it's going to. I just see that maybe Notre Dame. Notre Dame gets a lot of hype. I mean, they don't have to do much to get in the top 10. So I could see this being the upset of the weekend.
Yeah, Notre Dame. It seems like they've found a way to win the game no matter what this season. And then last week they really took it to Stanford with the quarterback change. Virginia Tech, they had one of the biggest all-time blunders of a football game you could ever think of on the road at Old Dominion, who hadn't won a game. That almost rivals. You remember when Michigan was number 5 in the country and they lost to Appalachian State before they were 1AA or 1A. before they were FBS. Just crazy. And then they went to Duke and took it to undefeated ranked Duke last week. I think it was really just a blunder. I expect nail biter, like a Penn State Ohio State game last week. And this is the last hurdle for Notre Dame. Notre Dame wins this game, and it would take some kind of miracle for them to lose to any of those other teams. Notre Dame could have a straight track to the playoffs, because if they go undefeated, they're not going to leave Notre Dame out with some of the teams that they've beat. Michigan, Stanford specifically, they beat a top 10 Stanford team. Virginia Tech's playoff hopes are over. I picked them to win their division in the ACC this year, but I think Notre Dame finds a way to squeak another one out. I'm saying like a 1 or 2 point win over Virginia Tech, and then they'll probably pull a Notre Dame and lose to somebody they really shouldn't lose to later in the season. But I think Notre Dame will just barely pull one out in that game over Virginia Tech. I do like Virginia Tech's chances, though. Playing at home, Enter Sandman, they're playing a top 10 team. You know how crazy that place can get. They only hold 67,000, but it's one of the craziest places to play at as a football team. But I think Notre Dame settles in and gets a win late in the game by just 1 or 2 points.
I've always Virginia Tech's always kind of been that team that you always have another team that you kind of like and
root for.
Yeah, Tech has always kind of been that team, even though they killed us one night at the Music City Bowl, which I was there, coldest night ever, but first Music City Bowl too, by the way. But yeah, I think this could be Saban talked about a trap game. This one might not really a trap, but
Notre Dame's, yeah.
But you could see an upset coming.
Yeah, I expect it to be a close game, but I think Notre Dame will squeak one out. Texas Oklahoma was the only other. Well, no, there was 3 2-ranked games this weekend. Yeah, Texas Oklahoma, and then you had LSU Florida, Notre Dame. As far as upsets go, I do think Virginia Tech has the best chance.
Yeah.
I don't expect Oklahoma Texas to be all that close in the end. Florida LSU, that's always a tough battle, no matter what the game, who's doing well or not. But I like Virginia Tech's chances the most tomorrow night, especially night game in Blacksburg.
And it's funny too, being older like myself. It wouldn't matter if it was 1 versus 2. When you put it at 11 a.m., it just takes away from any type of kind of legitimacy that it's a big game. I don't know why that is.
I just want football in the background while I get ready to do what I'm going to do for the day and watch other games. I don't care to have the biggest game, possibly the biggest game of the day.
Yeah, that's just crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Well, Alabama, 2 weeks in a row now, 11 a.m. kickoffs.
Yeah, but we're not playing anybody.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Well, we're playing an SEC opponent that played A&M to the end last week.
Yeah.
But you know how the way that Bama's playing at Arkansas, that might not be quite the watchable game.
Yeah, it might not be. I knock on wood. You never know.
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen, and I've been watching Alabama long enough to know that they are known to have that one game that you go, what happened?
Well, they're like everybody else. They have that one game, and you just got to get through it.
Yeah.
2 teams had that last week. Well, Penn State, Ohio State was a big game, but you had Syracuse and Clemson, and Syracuse should have won that game. But Clemson pulled it out, obviously, last weekend. But that's it for our game picks for today. Let us know what you're looking for this weekend out of college football. Not necessarily your picks, but what you're looking for, what games you're watching, what you're expecting to happen, those kind of things. But don't forget to leave a big old thumbs up, share the content, and subscribe to the channel. But this has been Spittin' Sports with Lamar. I am Casey Lamar. That is David Mize, and we will see you guys next week.
Y'all have a good weekend. Roll Tide.
See y'all later.